مين معي؟ أهلين محمود. محمود أنت راح تسجل؟
راح أسجل إيش؟ حضور؟
المحاضرة.
لا مو أنا، لا.
لا.
عبد الله القش كأنه، أو محمود العمري. عبد الله يوسف
أنا حمزة.
شاهر القش. حمزة
كأنه ما ظاهر لسه. عبد الله معي؟ مين راح يصير كو هوست؟
يعطيك العافية دكتور، صباح الخير.
صباح النور عيني. مين معي؟
أنا عبد الله القشي، بس كان في عندي مشكلة بالمايك. أنا راح أسجل المحاضرة إن شاء الله.
تمام عيني. عبد الله بس لحظة راح أعملك كو هوست كمان.
تمام.
عبد الله هاي أنت كو هوست هلا.
تمام، يعطيك العافية دكتور.
الله يعافيك عيني. أنت هلا كأنما يعني كابس على الشير سكرين بدأ يسمح.
دكتور انت خليت عبد الله هوست مش كو هوست.
نعم.
انت خليت عبد الله هوست مش كو هوست.
عنها.
اتوقع لازم
عبد الله اذا ترجعني كو هوست.
دكتور رجعتك هوست هيني.
تمام. جاهزين إن شاء الله؟ Today we will have a new lecture in the GI tract module regarding schistosomiasis and hydatid cyst. schistosomiasis هو مرض البلهارزيا. مسامعين بمرض البلهارزيا، التبول الدموي أو الخروج الدموي. And hydatid disease الأكياس المائية. Learning objectives will be to recognize the life cycle pathogenesis of Schistosoma mansoni and Echinococcosis granulosus for the hydatid cyst. Then we will talk about epidemiology and outline of these two diseases. Schistosoma have many species. Schistosoma haematobium will be considered with the UGS system because it is related to the hematuria, التبول الدموي، فتؤجل لغاية UGS system. Today, Japonicum not important locally. Intercalatum, Mikonki are all limited in the local areas. Schistosoma adult worm. Schistosoma adult worm lives in the portal vascular system. It has ventral sucker, this is ventral sucker, to attach. It has a cylindrical body. This is the female, this is the male, and this is the cylinder one. The female is carried by the male in a schist. شو معنات schist؟ شق. In the ventral part of the body to be carried, the female will be carried by the male. Schistosomiasis is a trematode. What is a trematode? Worms could be of three groups: a trematode, nematode, and cystode. We will talk about all of them. Today we will talk about a trematode and cystode. Schistosoma is example of a trematode. Echinococcosis is example of cystode. Life cycle, male and female hepato-portal system. They migrate to the inferior mesenteric system in the descending colon and rectum. So they live in the blood vessels around the colon and rectum. That is why they cause bloody stool, because they penetrate from there. The eggs are deposited in the submucosa and then go out with the stool. The eggs hatch, يعني تفقس, and release from the egg miracidia. Miracidia goes to snail, قواقع. ولهذا السبب يكثر هذا المرض بالمزارع اللي بيها قواقع في مصر مثلا. And they live for 1 to 2 months in the snail, and then characterized by forked tail. الذيل مقسوم بالنهاية. راح تشوفوا صورة لها. Then this will swim in water, cercaria. Human being skin will be penetrated, and within 1 to 3 days, the cercaria lose the first one, penetrate, lose the tail, and become schistosomiasis. Schistosomiasis goes to the vascular system, right heart, then to the lungs, then to the left heart, then to the liver, hepato-portal system. And we will see it in the picture. You can see it here, the eggs. The egg of the Schistosoma mansoni today, it has lateral spine or lateral spike. Schistosoma haematobium, which we are going to deal with it in the genitourinary system, it has terminal spike. Anyhow, today, lateral spike, the eggs are released, hatch, release the miracidia. Miracidia go to snails, then cercaria, forked tails, penetrate human skin, lose the tail, and become schistosomiasis. Schistosomiasis goes to the lungs, heart, then liver, and then to the portal system. You can see it here, and the eggs will be released from the females, and the cycle will be repeated. This cycle is very important, and I would like you to know it. Epidemiology, it is very common more than 200 million cases of Schistosoma mansoni in 2017. It lives with the irrigation system, نظام السقي في المزارع. But modern sanitation systems can break the life cycle. Schistosomiasis has geographical distribution. يعني بعض الدول فيها كثير من الشيستوسومايسيس، مثلا Egypt، مصر. The peak of schistosomiasis usually in the second decade of life. Why second decade? Is the working force. الناس اللي تشتغل أكثر إشي بالمزارع، ولهذا السبب يصابون. يعني مثلا الفلاح يشتغل حافي، يعني ما يلبس إشي بالقدمين، ف تدخل داخل الجلد السركاريا. اوكي. Pathogenesis, it is characterized by three main factors: penetration and migration, oviposition, وضع البيض, and the eggs has lateral spine, as I said, look to the lateral spine. And third, a granuloma formation. The retained eggs, الeggs اللي ما تخرج برا الجسم يحيطها by granuloma. Immunity, cell-mediated immunity for the retained egg. Suppressor cells, Treg, blocking antibodies, IgG4. And it is also related to HLA. Those who are A1 or B5 are more prone to get this blocking immunity. So there will be immunological tolerance to the parasite. يعني الباراسايت يعيش في أمان بالجسم. Tolerance. Concomitant immunity, IgE may be protective. Specific IgE may be protective. A clinical aspect is into three stages. Early stage, when schistosomiola enters into the body, cercaria enter, and then schistosoma. This will cause schistosomiola. Then it causes intense pruritic skin rash, type 1, type 2 hypersensitivity within 24 hours. And there will be sort of general symptom, fever, malaise, etc. for 1 to 2 weeks. Then intermediate stage, when you get adult worms and the female start to deposit or oviposition. You know, the ova is antigen. So there will be complexes with the antibody that I have spoken. So you get serum sickness reaction, type 3 hypersensitivity. And you know the types of hypersensitivity from your immunology. This can occur in one, this can stay months after the entrance of schistosomiola in the body. This results in what is called Katayama fever, or increase in white BC, total, eosinophil, IgG, IgM, and IgE. What is Katayama syndrome? Is manifested as fever, rash, hepatosplenomegaly, and bronchospasm. This is Katayama fever, occurs in 1 to 2 months after entrance of schistosomiola in the body. Chronic stage, inflammatory and fibrotic reaction to retained eggs. You know, the eggs which are not released with the stool, the body is surrounded by granuloma. So there liver and spleen enlargement, hepatosplenomegaly, as I said, it is HLI related. You may get hepatitis infection with virus B and C, which can lead to chronic active hepatitis. Diagnosis: to detect the eggs by stool examination, and you can do concentration method. Concentrate the stool by a special technique to get more information. Local biopsy from the large intestine. And also we do egg viability test to see whether the eggs are live or not. Very simple test, can be done in the laboratory. Enzyme immunoassay to detect the antigen of schistosoma in the blood, which is also available. The treatment for dermatitis and Katayama syndrome, we use antihistamine or corticosteroid just to decrease the pruritic, الحكة. Anti-helminthic, anti-helminth يعني ضد الورم, praziquantel, the drug of choice, single dose oral, very simple name, common name, معروف في كل العالم, praziquantel. Alternative to it, artemisinin. Alternative for resistant cases usually can be used, but the main one is a praziquantel. In prevention, sanitary disposal of feces, of course contaminant, molluscicides ضد القواقع, استخدام بعض الوسائل التي تقضي على القواقع. And there is multi-program. China has used multi-program. It was very successful. This multi-program is recommended for all countries who suffers from schistosomiasis. Vaccine is under development. Until now, there is no vaccine, but it is under development. We come to echinococcosis, hydatid disease. hydatid disease الأكياس المائية. Tissue infection of a human by granulosis. Today we will talk about Echinococcus granulosis. There is another species, Echinococcus multilocularis, not important locally, so we are not going to speak about. Echinococcus granulosis tapeworm. شو معنى التيبورم؟ الدودة الشريطية، سيستود. حكينا على الشيستوسوما تريماتود. Now another type of worms is cystod. So Echinococcus is cystod. The adult worm of Echinococcus granulosus live in the small intestine of canine, mainly dogs. Okay, so no adult worm in a human being. Adult worm in dogs. This adult worm has a scolex head, يعني scolex, which has 4 sucking discs, 4 suckers, and double أسنان. The adult worm is not that long, 5 millimeter long, and it has 3 proglottis. What is a proglottis? يعني قطع, 3 قطع, immature, mature, and gravid. You can see the diagram here. These are the suckers, 4 suckers. These are the hooklets, double row, and it has 3 segments, immature, mature, and gravid, which contains the uterus here. The life cycles, the eggs from the gravid segment or proglottis are ingested by a host. Sheep, for example, goat, and also can be considered as intermediate host. This intermediate host has no adult worm. The larvae here is called oncosphere. When we say oncosphere, it means it is the larvae of Echinococcus granulosus. Once ingested, will be hatched in the intestine, penetrate to the portal system, go to the liver, then lungs, and systemic circulation, then to the brain. Anywhere in the body could be infested, bones, kidney, other heart, etc., where there will be cyst forms. And we will see the structure of the hydatid cyst in a moment. The cysts are formed, it has external laminated layer, cuticle, زي الكبسول, and then internal germinal membrane. And you can see it. This is the fibrous capsule like that, and this is the germinal layer. Okay? So external laminated cuticle, and then internal germinal membrane. The cysts enlarge and form daughter cysts, which produce protoscolices. This is the daughter cyst. هذا هو كل الكبير, which contain protoscolices. نحن حكينا سكوليكس هو head. But these are a precursor for the future head, called protoscolices. From their germinal layer. And once these protoscolices and these daughter cyst breaks, this will sink down, and we call them hydatid sand. Sand كأنما الرمل تبع الhydatid cyst. Hydatid sand. This intermediate host, يعني اللي حكينا عليها sheep وgoat etc. في المسالخ في المذابح يعني أو in the farms, these carcasses يعني هذه الأوفلز القطع المتفسخة can be ingested by dogs. Protoscolices will go to the intestine and evaginate to form scolices. Scolices يعني head. And once you get the head, which will attach to the intestine by their suckers and hooklet, then develop into adult worm within 1 to 3 months in the small intestine of dogs. فإذا these are the eggs. بالintermediate host مثلا الشيب أو goat أو swine أو حتى الhuman being يعتبر intermediate host. The eggs will become oncosphere. Oncosphere will be ingested and will be distributed to different areas in the body to form hydatid cysts. When these animals are killed, died, etc., now we come to the definite host. This is the intermediate host. Will be eaten by dogs, or protoscolices will form scolix and then adult worm, and the cycle will be continued. The same thing as the intermediate host, also the eggs can be ingested and go to the intestine, and then oncosphere will be distributed in different parts of the body, brain, lungs, heart, liver, etc., bones, to form the hydatid cyst. And this is the summary. You can read it of what I have said. This is the hydatid cyst. You can see it. This is real sample. This is the capsule of the hydatid cyst. This is the germinal layer. You can see this is the capsule. This is the germinal layer and the daughter cyst and the protoscolices. This is the hydatid cyst, outside capsule with the hand of surgeon. This is the egg. which has 6 hooklets, hexacanth, hexacanth, hexa يعني 6. These are the protoscolices. شكل الإيج هذا هو. Epidemiology, pastoral infection, pastoral يعني في المراعي, في الأرياف, maintained by allowing dogs to feed on sheep viscera. A human infection can occur by hand-to-mouth infection, by contacting, for example, infected dog. Sylvatic, not important locally. Sylvatic يعني البرية. شو تأثير الهايداتد cyst على الجسم؟ You know it's a cyst. Clinical manifestation, mechanical effect. يعني الضغط مثلا موجود في البرين يعمل لك ضغط في البرين. Mechanical effect. Usually asymptomatic, can be detected by routine investigation. Pastoral can cause hepatic cyst in 60% of the cases. If the cyst is ruptured, it can cause anaphylactic shock because the material, protoscolices, etc., the body will face new antigens, which can cause anaphylaxis. And you can also expect that there will be specific organ manifestation. اللي بالليفر عنده manifestation, اللي بالهارت عنده manifestation, اللي بالبرين عنده neurological manifestation, and so forth. Diagnosis, radiological imaging, and ultrasound, of course. Sometimes therapeutic aspirate, you can aspirate the cyst just to see what's there in the cyst. Antibodies, serological diagnosis, positive in 90% of hepatic cases. يعني الهيباتيك cases 90% منها عندها positive antibody against echinococcus. Pulmonary 60% من البلمونري cyst عندهم antibody. PCR nowadays is available. It is very sensitive test. Treatment, of course, if you have a cyst, surgical removal, not all cases. Use treatment also. We can use an infusion of scolicide agent. قاتلة, مادة قاتلة للبروتوسكوليسيس. 20% hypertonic saline plus 95% ethanol. We inject it in the cyst. Also, we use with it albendazole of the same family of metronidazole. Albendazole can be used for several weeks or even years. Of course, hygiene, hand washing, deworming of the dogs, offal يعني القطع المتفسخة من الحيوانات can be burned or buried just to stop the life cycle of the hydatid cyst. Any question? Simple lecture, 2 important diseases. You can read them quite easily. Any question? If you don't have any question, please keep the record. Abdullah? Abdullah معي؟ Hello? We end our lecture.
دكتور.
نعم معي؟
دكتور معاك، أنا بسجل.
Yeah. If you don't have any question, anybody have a question? If you don't have any question, we stop here. We hope to see you next time, inshallah. Have a good day.
يعطيك العافيه دكتور.
Allah